I had the amazing opportunity to serve in the United States Marine Corps some years ago. And one thing that I learned in serving in the Marine Corps was a couple differences in the way our branches of service are. And I'm lucky enough to have a grandfather that was in the Air Force, a son, stepson, that was in the Army, and a ex-husband that was in the Navy. You know, I went to the other side when I was in the Marine Corps. So, you know, the cool thing about the different services is that, the cool and the bad thing, is we're always bickering back and forth, and, you know, we're always making fun of each other. And I think the basic reason for that is all four services speak four different languages. I mean, for example, if you tell the four services to secure a building, the Army would post guards outside the building, the Navy would turn off the lights and lock the doors, the Marine Corps would kill everybody inside the building, and the Air Force would take out a 5-year lease with an option to buy. So you can see how that one word, secure, means so much different things to so many different people in our armed services. But the one thing that we all have in common, the one thing that makes us the best business owners and the best entrepreneurs, well, there's four things, and I'm going to talk about them today. Discipline, drive, the ability to fail forward, and the ability to not take excuses or make excuses. And that's what makes us the best entrepreneurs. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I learned from being in the Marine Corps and how that translated into my business. So the minute you get off the bus and you step on those yellow footprints, if you guys did that, and you start getting yelled at and screamed at, and you learn how to discipline your bodies, you learn how to do push-ups, you learn how to do pull-ups, you learn how to run, you learn how to drag somebody across a minefield. You learn all those things, and you learn how to discipline your body. And the one thing about discipline that we always need to really keep a focus on is how to discipline our minds. And eventually, maybe not in boot camp, maybe it takes you a while, maybe after boot camp, we learn about what discipline in our minds mean. And it took me a little while to learn this. I went to the Marine Corps boot camp in great shape. I was ready to go. I was at 4th Battalion, all-female battalion, Parris Island, South Carolina. In South Carolina, I was one of 100 females, and I was probably one of the top 100 in that 100. When I got out into the fleet, I was one female with 100 male Marines. And that made a whole different challenge for me. So me being in great physical shape started my first formation runs with 100 male Marines. I wasn't in as good a shape as I thought I was. So we're in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where my first A school was. And in Memphis, Tennessee, it's 100 degrees with like 100% humidity or some crazy stuff like that. And I'm running in formation, and I am dying. Do you guys remember that? Running in formation, dying. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay, your heart's like beating out of your chest, your lungs are about to explode, and you're just like, holy crap, I don't think I can run anymore. I need to just break my ankle or step in a ditch or like fall down. And your mind is saying, Michelle, you can't run anymore, you're gonna die. And your heart is saying, I can't stop running. I am the only female Marine in this unit. I might be the only female Marine these guys ever see. I am taking on all female future Marines, current Marines. I cannot stop running. My mind's like, you're gonna die if you don't stop running. You need to just fall out and stop running. So I said, my heart said, no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna put one foot in front of the other foot, and if I fall down and die, I fall down and die. I probably would pass out first, I think, so I'm probably kind of safe, I think. So I just kept running. And I finished the run. And it made me realize how weak our minds can be. I ended up doing some research on this and read in a runner's magazine about marathon runners. And they said, your mind will tell you to quit when you have 20% left in the tank. 20% left. But your mind is telling you you don't have anything left. Our mind plays tricks on us, right? Tells us we're not good enough, tells us we can't do certain things. But we can overcome our mind and we can discipline our mind. So how do we go about disciplining our minds? Well, how do we go about disciplining in the military? what do we do to gain discipline in the military? Drill, right? Right shoulder arms, left shoulder arms, about face, forward march. You guys maybe have been out of the military for 20, 30 years. You probably still know how to do those drills. I bet you do. Why? Because we do them over and over and over again until they become habits. So what do we do when we're entrepreneurs? The hardest thing about being an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is there's nobody with a garbage can and a stick yelling, reveille, reveille, reveille. You have to get up on your own. You have to get your butt out of bed. You don't have a boss anymore. You have to create your own habits and your own discipline. That's why we're so good at being business owners when we're veterans, because we know how to create good habits, how to do the same thing over and over again until it becomes second nature. So why would we want to do the same thing over and over again until it becomes second nature? Why do you? It's the drive that we have inside of us. And everybody needs that drive. Otherwise, we're just not going to do it. Otherwise, we're just not going to get up at 6 a.m., go to the gym, make the calls we don't want to make, knock on the doors we don't want to knock on, make the appointments we don't want to go to. Why would we do that? Because we have this intrinsic need to do it because we have drive. And I think in order to be successful, you need to have a why, a something that drives you every day. So I found that when I ended up traveling all over the world and visiting third world countries and saw the kids in these third world countries. And I thought, I want to adopt a kid because I'm an okay mom. You know, I had one kid and I was doing well in my business. And even if I'm an okay mom, taking a kid out of a third world country in an orphanage is 100% better being an okay mom than leaving them there in the orphanage. So it's not that I thought I was a great mother. It's not that I didn't have fear of adopting a child that had no idea what their history was, what their background was. But I decided I was going to do it, and I was driven to do it. So if you ever start an adoption of a foreign child in an orphanage, it's a process. I mean, to be very blunt, it's a huge process. So 9 months worth of paperwork. Every day you get up and you do more while you're running your business, while you're doing other things. But the drive to do this for me was amazing. And I brought home the most amazing child. His name was Habtamu. We call him Tamu Williams. And we adopted him when he was 7 years old. I adopted him when I was a single woman. And the hiccups that came up in the middle of that process was Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is where I went. We're going to close adoption to single women. They do that every once in a while. They change the rules just all willy-nilly. All of a sudden, they're going to close adoptions to single women. They have to be married, which would be a little bit of an issue for me at the time. So I pushed forward and I made it happen. And it drove me to get this done. And then I went back and I adopted a girl. And that drove me as well. So now I have a why. Now I have these kids that rely on me, and that drove me even more. So we need to figure out what that is for us. It doesn't always have to be an altruistic thing. It could be, I want a Mercedes-Benz. It could be, I want a pool in my backyard. It could be, I want to support my mother. I want to support my dad. I want to support my kids. Whatever it is, it has to be something that you want so bad. It's like breathing. If you don't want it as bad as you want to breathe, as bad as you want to live, then you need to get a different why. You need to find out what it is. Because in order to create great habits, you need to have drive. And in order to have drive, you need to have something to be driven forward. So, the other thing that we as veterans are great at is failing forward. So, failure sucks. But a diamond isn't a diamond until it's got enough pressure to make it a diamond. Failure is what makes us into great men and women from good men and women. Now, I've had a great career in real estate. I got started right out of the Marine Corps. So for me, real estate, I came out of the Marine Corps, which was hard, and I went to real estate, which was easy. I had to knock on doors, I had to talk to people. Wow, big deal. All right, so it was easy. I did well. And I ended up starting my own company. And then I ended up buying other companies. And then I ended up growing. Probably larger than I should have got. And I borrowed money from my franchisor who said, oh, we'll give you plenty of, here's more money, here's more money. Because they get 6% off the top of every deal I do, right? So they're all about giving me money so I could buy these other companies so I can make them more money, right? So I did. I was young. I was 24 years old when I first started really buying companies and getting into that. And this is after I bought apartment buildings and I bought real estate. So my last company I bought, 2 big companies, were right before like 2006, 2007. And in 2008, the market crashed. I mean, if you were in real estate, the market crashed. It didn't just like, I don't know how many of you felt it, but it was like the faucets just turned off. I looked at the money coming in and it was gone. It was not there. I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in rents and payrolls and my bills, you know, everything, and I had nothing coming in. That sucks. So what do? Well, I negotiate with every landlord, I sell off parts of the company. I failed. I didn't save enough. I didn't have a plan. I never knew the market could crash. I didn't know that could happen. I was young. I didn't know. But you know what? It made me so much stronger. Now, the woman I am today, I wouldn't be this if I didn't experience that adversity, if I didn't experience the ability to persevere, if I didn't experience all that trauma and all that, personally, I almost lost my house. And the only reason I didn't lose my house is because my house was over-encumbered. Thank God for over-encumbered houses. That was the only reason they didn't take that away. So I had to start from scratch, tail between my legs, big, huge, real estate broker, now with nothing, my house, thank God. And I started again from scratch with a little office in Aliso Viejo. And I started smarter, and I did it better. And I'm a better, bigger company today than I was then. And failure, I attribute it to failure. It's about failing forward. It's about taking what we know we need to do and doing it regardless of the hardships and the obstacles we come across. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about obstacles and what's happening, in my opinion, what's happening nowadays with our children is we give them excuses constantly. We give society excuses constantly. Oh, the reason you didn't make that baseball team is just because the coach didn't like you very much. Oh, you're just big boned, that's why you can't lose any weight. Oh, it's hard being a girl. It's hard being a minority. We give them excuses, and they don't want to work for it because they rely on those excuses. I told my kid, who was in Spanish class, and I never should have said this, but I did. I said, you know what, honey? It's going to be a little bit harder for you in Spanish because you're a second language learner. You didn't know English when you got here at 7. So it's going to be hard for you to learn Spanish. Guess what happened to his Spanish grade after I told him that? A to a B to a C to a D to an F. And then when I asked him about it, he said, Mom, you told me it was going to be hard for me to learn Spanish. I gave him an excuse. Our kids are looking for excuses. We should not take them. We should not take people's excuses. How many of you guys are NFL fans? Okay. How many of you enjoyed the last NFL season? I boycotted the last NFL season. Okay, why did I do that? Do you remember the NFL players that were sitting down for the national anthem? How many of you were pretty pissed off about that? Yeah, so was I. So my 2 boys, both African American, both football players, look at me and say, Mom, why are they not standing for the national anthem? Well, honey, they say that our country oppresses them. And they said, well, Mom, what does oppression mean? What does oppression mean? I said, it's when somebody takes away your freedom. It's when you don't have freedom to do what you want to do, and when somebody holds you back with cruelty and etc. Well, Mom, why do you want us to go to college if we can't do whatever it is we want to do? I was so pissed. Okay, so I'm a Jersey Italian girl. I went from like here to like here. So angry about that. So, okay, I'm gonna show you what oppression means. We, being veterans, have seen oppression around the world. We know what oppression is. Other people who live in the US don't. They just don't. So I went on Google, and I showed them, in the Middle East, where I spent some time, where women didn't have rights, couldn't drive, honor killings, rape. They don't have rights, they're oppressed. This is what oppression means, kids. Oh, Mom, we don't have that here in the US. I'm like, yeah, I know. Don't use excuses. Don't give our kids excuses. The amazing thing about veterans is we've seen the world. We know the real world. We know how to work hard. We are the best this country has to offer. We are. So be leaders. Run your companies. Let other people know what it means to be a leader. We are the future of the United States of America. We need to stand up. We need to make sure that we're being warriors. And I'm so happy to be here and talk to you guys, talk to a bunch of other warriors who are warriors for your business and warriors for your family. And I'm just really grateful to spend the time with you. I did write a book, what he told you. It's called Zero to Hero. My husband's right here. Of course, I married another man in uniform, but his is a police uniform. And now he's the mayor of our little city of Aliso Viejo, making a difference in our little city. And we have books if you want to come by, buy one, autograph it for you if you so want me to. And I'm just really grateful to be here and just keep pushing, persevere through the tough times. Don't take excuses. Use your discipline and continue to be driven for your futures. Thank you, guys.